Okay, welcome back friends. This is Mr. GCT here. So today we are going to be answering Center Regional Mock Computer Science A-Level Paper 3 2025. We are going to do the programming part in this video, and surely in another video we are going to do the database section. And if you really need the database video, just comment below this video, let me know. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll. We have been given 2 hours to do this, so I'll just scroll right where there's programming, the section for programming. It's a 4-round game, and before that let me just give you a demo of what we're going to do. So basically it is a game, right, that allows players to enter their scores 4 times, and after that they are going to be sorted in ascending order. So the first is going to be listed at the top, and the player with the lowest score is going to be listed at the bottom. So each player has the maximum of 4 rounds, and after that we are going to display the unsorted data and then the sorted data. So you can see here Hoof was the second position here with the total of 230. That's the scores. And after sorting, you can see that since 230 is the highest in the list, Hoof becomes the top player. Okay, so basically that's what we are going to be coding today, and that was also what we expected for the students writing the Center Regional Mock 2025. Okay, so just stick along the video and you surely code something that looks like that. Okay, now programming 4-round game. It says a game consists of 4 rounds. In each round a player can score up to 100 points. The data about the game is sorted in the memory as follows. So we have player, rounds, and totals. Now the same where players is an array holding names of players. As you can see, the players, the table holds, or I can say the array holds names of players, and rounds is an array holding player score, as seen also, and then totals is an array holding total score. Okay, the same. The following code snippet is written to exchange the values of variables a and b. So we have temp equals to a, then b equals to temp, and a equals to b. We say task 1, problem understanding. A, assume a equals to 3 and b equals to 5. State the values of a and b after execution of the code snippet above. So that is number one a, right? Number 1 a. Okay, so doing that, let's just follow the code snippet. We have temp equals to a, and we have a. First of all, they said a is 3, right? So let me say a is 3, is given the value 3, and b is given the value 5. Now let me apply now the code snippet execution. So we have temp equals to a, implying that, let me just comment aside, implying that this temp is equals to 3. Okay, and we have now b equals to temp, implying that this b is equals to 3 because temp is 3. Now they say a equals to b, implying that a is equals to b, which is 3. So at the end you see that there's no swapping. Alright, so writing that, we are going to say after the execution a is still 3 and b is 5, so there's no swapping for a, and you get your 1 mark. Okay, the b section says that suggest how the code snippet above will need to be modified to successfully exchange the values of variables a and b. So they know that this is not the correct code snippet to exchange the variables. Okay, so to do that, that's going to be number 1 B, right? Number 1 B. Okay, to use the right code snippet, I'm going to say term is equals to A. I'm going to say A equals to B, and B is equals to term. So if you let me just execute and see that it's going to work correctly. So for example, we have a term equals to A, and what is A? A is 3, so implying that this term is equals to 3. Then we have B, we have A, so implying that A equals to B. What is B? B is 5. Then now below implies that B is equals to term, and term was initially given the value of 3, meaning that B becomes 3. So at the end you see that A has taken the value of 5, which was initially that of B, and B has taken that of 3, which was initially that of A. So you see that at the end they're swapping. Now, and you get your 2 marks to them. So the C part says write another code snippet that exchanges the values A and B without the use of a third variable term. So we have to do this without using a third variable. Okay, that is number 1 C. Number 1 C. You're going to be, so in order to do that, I'm going to say A equals to A plus B, and B is equals to A minus B. Then A equals to A minus B again. So to show you guys, this implies that A, right? What was A? This implies that A equals to A. Our A is 3 now, so 3 plus 5, which is B. So we're going to align like that. And for the second part, it implies that B equals to A. What is our A? Our A is simply 3 plus 5, so we're going to be 3 plus 5. Then now B, our B is 5, which is minus 5. So implying that our B is equals to 3. Why? Because if you look in, you see that 5 will cancel 5, and we are going to be left with 3. So implying that B equals to 3. And for the last step, we have A equals to A, which is 3 minus B, and our B is A minus B, and that is 3 minus 5, right? So implying that our A becomes, so you look very well, you expand the bracket, we're going to have negative times 3, we're going to be negative 3, so 3 will cancel with 3, and negative here multiply with the negative 5 in the bracket, we're going to have positive 5, implying that A equals to 5. So A equals to 5. Now we have successfully swapped the two variables without the use of a third variable term. So that's what was required there, and I hope it's all understood. Okay, so moving on, we have swap rows. Excuse me, there's a swap rows math with parameters math k and l. Procedure swaps the elements of two rows, row k and row l, in the two-dimensional array math. So for example, we have the first table for the array, which is the initial content of the two-dimensional array math. So we are going to be swapping row 1 and row 4, the one in bold. So look very well, the row 1 is in bold and row 4 is in bold. So I'm going to swap these two. So after applying the swap method or the procedure, we're going to have the contents of the two-dimensional array math after execution of the method swap rows with parameters math and 1 and 4 as the rows. So if you look keenly, you see that the content in row 1 has been changed to that was previously for row 4. So row 1 becomes 5 0 negative 1 0, which was that of 4 initially, and that of 4 becomes that of 1 if you look keenly. So we have to write a subroutine to perform that. Okay, the same in question 2 now. Use a programming language of your choice to write the procedure swap rows, the parameters a math, then A and B. You see that here they say programming language of your choice. I'm going to be using C because most schools in Cameroon are taught C, and in the GCE I'm sure they are going to be provided with the CITE, that is Integrated Development Environment, right? The formula of ITE. So I strongly recommend you use C. Okay, so using the C, we are going to initialize we're going to define the write a procedure swap rows that are going to do the swapping. So void swap rows with parameters match. So we're going to be int match. Now it's going to be a two-dimensional array, and before we continue, I would like you guys to that's why it's always advisable for you to read all through the question before you start answering. So if you scroll right down at the bottom or at the last question, you are going to see this NB, which says m, n are global variables with m equals to 4 and n equals to 6. So we need to declare m and n as the global variables. So at the top here, I'm going to declare I'm going to use the hash define function. So we're going to be hash define m with the value 4, then again hash define n with the value 6, just as mentioned. So this 6 is going to be the number of columns, number of rows, and m is going to be number of columns. So in the math, I'm going to give the size of columns as m. And in C, when you are using two-dimensional array, it's not necessarily needed for you to give the size for the rows. So that I'm keeping the square box for the row size as nothing, and it's required for you to give for that of column. So doing that, I'm going to input. I'm going to now declare now the variable a, just as a and b, these variables a and that of b. So int a, they are all integers, and b. Okay, so doing that, we open our curly braces, and in it we are going to use the same swapping algorithm that we used just above here. We're going to need a temporal variable that is going to help us swap the column. So you look keenly, you see that the row 1 and 4, they are static. What is changing is simply their column. So after 0, we're going to go to 1, 2, and 3, and so on. So to do that, we're going to use a for loop. So before that, let's first declare our temporal variable temp. So we're going to have for loop that is going to iterate the columns. So you can still declare I outside of the for loop, but I prefer inside. Why? Because it's going to make my code look neat and beautiful. So int I, I'm going to have I less than n. So the swapping, the number of going to be m, so we are swapping rows, and there are 4 rows. So we will start from 0 here. We start 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to have 4 rows. So less than m, I'm going to have semicolon I plus plus, we increment I. Okay, so then our curly braces, in it we're going to say temp is going to be equals to math AI. So in it's going to go to row 1, which is A, then column I, which is 0. So column 0 will start incrementing to 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to take that value there and store in temp. Then now we'll use now again this value and store it in B. So it's going to be math of B over here. So which is B is simply down there, column 4. Then we have semicolon, and we take now that same math BI to math BI. So we have BI going to be equals to 10, like that. We end with a semicolon. So this is all about the swapping. And our next question is under task 2. It says data entry subroutine. Question 3: write the subroutine with names with parameter A in any programming language of your choice to enter the names of the players above in the player array A. Read names receive an array as parameters and the number of players. So to do that, I'm going to have void. Any procedure is declared with void. So void read names with parameter A. Since it's going to read the name, so it's going to be a character char A. I'm going to give it a 2-dimensional array. Then the maximum length of the name, it should be 20. Again, in C, when you're using 2-dimensional array, there's no need to put the size for the rows, but for the columns, the name should not have more than 20 characters. That's why I put it 20. You can still use another digit, but I don't think there's a name that is longer than 20. Okay, after doing that, we are going to use a for loop again to read the names. But before that, I'm going to say, okay, so we're going to be for int I equals to 0, I less than n, because there are 6 members, right? 6 players, and in it we are going to say I plus increment. Okay, and I'm going to say printf enter player 1 name. So we're going to be %d name /n for next line. Now here I'm going to say I plus 1. Why? Because I want to print enter player 1, but since I is starting from 0, it's instead going to print enter player 0 name. So in order to change it to 1, I will add I with +1. So we're going to print instead enter player 1 name. Okay, I hope it's understood. Now when that is done, I'm going to say scanf, and I'm going to input percentage, since it's a name, %s, then ampersand AI. So we're going to store the name in that position index. Okay, and that is all for the read names procedure. The next step is, it says question 4: write the subroutine read scores to enter the scores of the player for all the rounds in the rounds array math, 1 player at a time. Read score receive an array rounds as parameters. Okay, you see. So to do that, I'm going to be void read scores with parameters rounds. The rounds is simply the math, right? The size here is m. Now our curly braces, we are going to use nested for loop here because we have two-dimensional array. So to read the scores, so I'm going to say for int I equals to 0, I less than n for the rows, I plus plus. Then now I'm going to say printf enter I'm going to enter the scores, right? So I'm going to say enter score, enter the scores, yes, enter scores, and I'm going to say slash n. So the scores will start from, so the scores is going to be taken up to 4 rounds. So I'm going to put in bracket 4 rounds to let the user know that it's up to 4 rounds. Okay, now after doing that, I'm going to go now to the next for loop, which is going to handle now the case for entering the data. So int j equals to 0, j less than m, which is the number of columns, then j plus plus. Now open our curly braces. In A we are going to have scanf percentage d, which is going to store as ampersand math ij. Alright, okay, so you're going to say enter scores. So the user is going to enter 4 times, right? So the scores is going to be entered right from index 0 to index 3, but counting normally you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's going to be 4 times, right? And we're going to do that for each member, so we're going to run 6 times. Alright, now after that, let's move on. The next procedure says, which is question 5, write a subroutine total scores with parameters t and math that calculates the total score for each player and stores it in the total array t. Alright, to do that, I'm going to use again void for procedure, which is total score with parameters int t. I'm not going to give the size to it, and to have int math again with the size m for the columns. Okay, doing that, we are going to use nested for loop again. That means 2 for loops. Why? Because we need to store the elements in the rows using the array indexing, right? So we are going to be accessing the rows and the column at the same time. That's why math, which is the rounds, is a 2-dimensional array. So we need to access in both, just like up here, both row and column. So the first for loop is going to handle the rows, and the second for loop is going to handle the columns. Okay, so I'm going to have for int I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Open as curly brackets. I'm going to set my ti to 0. Why? At first I'm going to, because we are summing the scores, right? So in the 0 I'm going to give the value of nothing. Then now from there now I will start adding now the various scores that is in the rounds table. So I'll be adding it to the t, which is for the total. So not initially it is 0, nothing is there. Then we start now taking new values. So initializing to 0, I'm going to use now the second for loop. It's going to be in j equals to 0, j less than m, which is the number of columns now, and j plus plus. Okay, in it now we're going to see ti. We are going to add the value that is in math ij. Remember here you can still do it this way. You can still say ti equals to ti plus math ij, but in simple form to do it in C is just to put the plus sign in front of the equal sign. That means that it's going to be summing whatsoever is here to ti, and you're going to increment to the next value, which is I equals to 1 and j equals to 1. So we're going to repeatedly do this and sum only for this row. Then after when it goes to I equals to 1, we're going to go to the next row, just like that, t 6 times, just as seen in this table. Okay, that's all for the subroutine total score. Now moving to the next, the same task 3, data display subroutine. So we want to display our entered data. Okay, so we're saying write the subroutine display with parameter a, math, and t that display the data entered, that is the names of the players, scores per round, and the total scores. It receives the array players, rounds, and totals. So when we void display with parameters, a is a character, so it's storing the name. So a with maximum length size or string length of 20. Then so players is the array a and rounds is the array math. So we're going to have that. Then totals is simply t. Okay, in it but to display the content. So again, we're still going to use nested for loop. That's for loop, two for loops, a for loop inside another for loop. That's what it means by nested for loop. Okay, for the first for loop, I'm going to say in I equals to 0 I less than n, then I plus plus to increment to the next line, to increment the value of I. And since I'm displaying, I need to print something out to tell the user or to make my code organized. So this is slash t. The first column is player, so I'm going to say player. Then slash t. Slash t is simply what am I saying? Slash t is to give gap or to give space. So you want to make your work to come out in a tabulated format. You use slash t, which is going to make your output organized in a table form. So we are going to, they say here that scores per round, so you need to start with round 1, round 2, and so on. So I'm going to do it 4 times, so I'll just copy and paste. Please make good use of copy and paste because time is not always on our side. So this is round 1, round 2, round 3, then round 4. So then just change the value here. Here will be round 2, here round 3, and here round 4. So after that we have another slash t again, which is going to display the totals, then slash n for next line. Okay, after that remember to close with a semicolon. Semicolon is outside here. Okay, after doing that, our next for loop into in j equals to 0, j less than m, j plus plus. I'm going to have, okay, I'm going to display now the rounds like so. This should be outside, so I want this to come out outside. If not, I'll be printing this number of the player rows and rounds and totals up to 6 times. So I need to cut it and print it out of the loop that will be up here, and instead here I'll print the players, right, the players name. So print f percentage s, since it's a name, percentage s, then slash t, then I'm going to say a of I. Alright, so you're going to print the names under the names of the players under this column players, and after that we need to print out the various rounds. So for the first round, the rounds is going to be iterating from 1 up to 4. So I'm going to say print f percentage d, because round is integer. Remember, let me put slash t to give space or to give gap. Then now mat I j. Okay, so after that I'm going to print out the totals. So the total is going to be out of this loop. Print f percentage d, so total is an integer. Here I'll put slash n, not t, for next line, because we read the last column. So slash n for next line. Then totals, which is t, so going to be t I. Remember, I'm using I because I'm now inside. I'm inside this other loop, not inside this one. J, I'm using ij here because math, which is the rounds, is 2-dimensional, so I need to access the rows and the columns. Okay, remember to end with a semicolon. Okay, so that was this for the procedure display. Now continuing, we have the same. All the data stored in memory could be sorted in descending order of total scores using selection sort. For example, after sorting, the data given will be held in memory as follows. So for example, the player Hoof, I hope I'm pronouncing very well, initially he was the second position here with a total score of 230, which is the highest here, and you can see here that is not sorted. So after being sorted, Hoof became number 1, so we move to the top position. So after sorting, you need to put the value of the highest at the top, then the one of the lowest at the bottom. Okay, it's a construct an algorithm for the subroutine sorting with parameters a, mat, t, that will sort the data per total scores in ascending order. In your solution, you should call the procedure swap rows given above to sort the rounds array. This subroutine takes all 3 arrays as parameters. So we're going to take the rows, the players, the rounds, and the totals. So use the pseudocode provided below. Thank God, you see, we are not supposed to break our head, like crack our head trying to figure out how to write the selection sort. The selection sort procedure has been given to us in the form of pseudocode. So what we need to just do is to translate it to C. So you can read your pseudocode very well and understand your C. There's no problem here. Okay, so you just need to follow the procedure in the pseudocode format and translate it to C, and you grab your 10 marks. Okay, so doing that, I'm going to have void sorting with parameters mat a is a character, so it's going to be char a local A with maximum length of the string as 20. Then we want to have math M. Okay, and we're going to have the total T. Okay, open our curly braces. Now we start now following the translating the procedure. The first thing is to declare integer I, j, max, and temp. So I'm going to say int I, j, max, and temp, and with a semicolon. The next thing is they said for I equals to 0 to n minus 2. So it's a for loop. So we're going to be for I is already declared, so there's no need to declare in the for loop. So for I equals to 0, right, I less than, they say n minus 2. I'm going to have I plus plus. So for that we set max to I. So max equals to I close a semicolon. Now the next for loop, so it's a nested for loop. So for this time around is j equals to 0 to j less than, no, j is not 0, j is I plus 1, not very well, I plus 1. So j is I plus 1 to j less than n minus 1. Okay, so we increment our j plus plus. Okay, in A now we have to do sort totals. So let me comment it out, which is sort totals. Okay, in sort totals we say if t max is less than t j, then open our curly braces. If that is true, then we set max to j. Max equals to j. Again, you don't need to understand what is going on here for the selection sort. All you need to do is to translate your selection sort. You don't have to start thinking of how it will function. Just they have done the hard work for you. It's just left for you to translate it to see. Okay, so after that they said end if and end for. So end this if and end for this for. After ending it, we need to sort all the data according to the max total. So let me comment it. Sort all data. Okay, in it we're going to say if max not equals to, so exclamation sign equals to is simply not equals to in C. So if max not equals to what did they say, not equals to I, then we do this, we swap. So let me comment it. Swap totals scores. Okay, it's simply just a normal swapping, just like we did above in our code, right? Remember, use the temp variable again to do the swapping. So doing that, we're going to have temp. Temp is already declared up here, so there's no need to declare again. So temp equals to t gi. Remember, their own t here is lowercase, but our own is uppercase. Why? Because we declared it as uppercase up here, so we need to use uppercase. So ti equals to this, then now ti equals to t max, I guess, yes, and t max is going to be equals to 10. So after doing the swapping of the scores, we need to swap the rounds. So again, comment it. swap rounds, and we need to call the procedure swap rows. So swap rows is right up here, so just copy here and end here. Again, make good use of copy and paste to save time. But here there's no parameters, so I'm going to allow this math, and our b is simply I, as is shown there. Our b is I, and our a is max. So max, end with a semicolon. So after calling the swap procedure, you need to go to the next, which says swapping players names. They say remember the use of string functions. Okay, so in order to do this, we need to first include the library string.h. So on just below the standard input output library, I need to say hash include string.h in order to use this statement that I'm going to show you. So in order to use where we are not yet, we are still inside this if. So inside the if, swapping players, I'll comment it out. Swapping players. Okay. Doing that, it says set ox equals to a max. You can see that ox is a new variable here. It has not been declared. So in order to do it, since it's swapping with the name, which is characters, we're going to declare as a character. So just below the integer ij, max, and temp, say can ox, and give it the size of 20, since the maximum number of characters we used was 20. Now, because we included a library string.h, we are going to use a function string copy. I hope this is py string. Yes, I hope this is rightly spelled. Yes, so we are going to use a string copy. So string copy will copy ox in a max, and with a semicolon. I'll just copy and paste this 3 times to save time. Now the next one is a max. We've copied a max to ai, and the last one is ai to ox. So here is ox, and we have ai here. Okay, just following the instruction here. So we need to use this. So in order to use string copy, we need to include the library string.h, and I think that's all for the procedure. Now they say end if. Yes, this is it. We end again for, which is this for, we are still inside the for, and end procedure, which is for this curly braces. So we have ended the procedure. Now going to the last part, they say which is question 8 now. They say perform the following in the main function. Declare the data structures to store player rounds and total. So in your main function, player was a character, so car player, I'm going to take size m. Okay, so and after that we have int rounds is simply the math array. So we're going to be rounds n m. Those are the size. And lastly, we have totals. Int totals. Total, there's no s. It's one dimensional, so we want to give the value n. Okay, remember to close with a semicolon. So after declaring these data structures, we need to corner the appropriate subroutine to read user data into the data structure defined above. So I'll just comment it out here that read data. So in read data, I need to call the various procedure display. The first one was to read, let me see. The first one was read names, and the second one was read scores. So just copy this, paste it here, copy read scores, come again and paste it just below here, copy total score. Okay, remember to end with a semicolon, but these parameters we are going to give the values player, rounds, and other. So for A is simply player, and for maths is simply rounds, and then for math here again we have rounds, and T here is total. Okay, so after calling that, the same call the display subroutine to display the entire data entered and calculate the total. Okay, so I'm just comment it out by saying display data. I'm going to call the display function, which is just up here. So display, Control C, display. Remember to close with a semicolon. Now in display, T is total, and math is rounds. Then A is players. We have player here. Now after displaying, the same call the sorting subroutine to sort the total scores. So I can say before displaying this displays without being sorted. So I can say print to tell the user that this is unsorted. So I'm going to say st slash n for next line, unsorted list, and after that I need to let me comment it here that sorting. So in sorting, I need to call the procedure sorting, which is simply this procedure that was already written in for us in using the in pseudocode format. We were only left to translate, convert to C. So we're going to have totals here. In order to save time, I'm just going to copy what is here inside here, since it's the same thing. Let's see, and I'm going to paste it inside here. Control V, and with semicolon. Okay, everything being equal. After that, the same call the display subroutine to display the entire data sorted by total scores in descending order. So after that, I'm going to display now sorted. Let me say display sorted data. Okay, which is the same thing here. Let's copy the two and change it to sorted. Control C, display here. Now here is going to be sorted. And put capital S. Okay. After that, is that all? Yeah, I think so. So what we are left to do now is to compile our code and correct errors if there are any. Okay, so let me compile. Wow, in line 64 they say T has not been declared. So T here, remember we are supposed to use int T, but we just said T. So int T. Let's compile again. The same. Error, size of player isn't known. How come that isn't known? M is player is supposed to be 20 here. Why? Remember that player is simply representing this A, and A is taking row and column with the maximum length size as 20. So correcting that to 20, let me compile again. That's complaining. So let me see. So car player, we have storage size player isn't known. Player. How come that that should be the player should take as well. Let me try and put n here for the number of rows. Let me compile and run again. Voila, errors done. Know that it's but normal that when you finish your code there are going to be errors, so you need to check them and always read the line of error because it really guides you to know what is wrong and to correct them. So you see, after writing my code, I debug the code by correcting the errors found in it, and since I have no errors, zero warnings, I can now compile and run and see how the output looks. Okay, it says enter player one name. So I'm just going to give let me compile and run again. I'm just going to write something at random to save time. So I'm not going to be entering all of this data organizedly because it's going to waste of time. So let me enter just a random name. Enter scores. So here I was supposed to say enter score one name. Let me see something. For scores, enter scores. I was supposed to say enter score one name. So percentage D. Then I'm going to say comma I plus 1. So I'm going to say enter score one name, enter score one, score two name, just like that. So let me compile and run again. So let me enter something at random. Okay, you see enter score one name. So let me put something, just something at random, score two name. I'm just giving something at random. And voila, you see, after entering, here's the unsorted list. We can see here that 500 is the highest score, which is the name is RH. Remember, I just used a random name for demonstration purpose. So, and after sorting, RH became the first with 508 being at the top. Okay, so that was basically what was required for us, and it's true that this video has taken a lot of time, but if you enjoy the video, please subscribe, share to your friends, and comment below if you need the database section. Here is it, just below here. So I'm going to do it in another video. Just comment below if you are in need of it. Okay, please subscribe, share, and peace. I'm out.